Welcome to the Jefatona podcast. I am your host, Delilah D. This is the place where women can explore what it means to be successful without leaving any part of themselves or their culture behind. In each episode, we talk ambition, we talk expression, and evolution on our own terms. Baby, it is time to get into the episode. I am so excited and honored to have my guests here today. You know, this is going to be another amazing episode of the Jefatona podcast. One thing about me, I love me a true underdog story. I love me a story of someone that literally had all the cards laid out for them that they should not make it, that they should not be successful, that every way an enemy has tried you, but they overcome it. Like, those are the stories, like the stories of, you know, victim turned into victor. Baby, I love me a good one. So with that being said, it is an honor to have fellow podcaster, fellow, you know, life coach, relationship coach, Bea Ruiz to come and join me on the Jefatona podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
You good? You good? I know you.
Yeah.
Look, so one thing about her, I know you're kind of like stick to yourself. You're kind of like a loner. So this is something we talked about, you stepping out of your comfort zone. So yeah. I know it's a lot for you to be here. So I'm thankful that you're wanting to share your story on the Jefatona podcast. So I'm going to start off with saying that. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. It gives me the opportunity to step out my comfort zone. So
a lot of people, you know, on a daily basis, you're always motivating thousands of people, you know, whether it's telling people how to, you know, shift their mindset, telling people what to do in relationships, telling people just how to honor themselves and love themselves. But I really want to get into, like, your backstory. I really want people to understand, like, why are you talking that talk? Like, why are you sharing these stories? Why are you sharing, like, you're not someone who's just, like, saying this just for, you know, shits and giggles, basically. Like, you're someone who actually went through all of this. So if you want to just go a little bit, there's a lot that I know, but I did my research, and what's so funny is that she be giving Beyonce vibes a little bit. Like, she tells you what she wants to share. It was hard doing research on you when I first.
Yeah. She hit me up. She's like, oh, you know, you're like giving Beyonce vibes. I can't get anything on you. Usually I research people.
Yeah.
And I find things, but with you, I can't find anything. So I started like giving a little bit of things, and then I was telling her like, oh, make sure you're taking notes because.
Yeah. I'm taking all the notes right now because it's just, I love that you were able to, like, basically erase your digital footprint and start something fresh. But, you know, this is a space for you to share your story, to, like, you know, have people understand your background, have people understand, like, who is Bea, like, why you are, you know, you talk that talk.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that I've been through, a lot of people can relate to. And I feel like when you're trying to send a message to certain people, you can't really relay the message if you haven't been through it. They're not going to understand. That's like, God bless me if I have cancer. I want to speak to somebody who has cancer. I don't want to speak to somebody who's going to tell me something they know nothing about. So, you know, I feel like the message that I have, you know, the things that I've been through, a lot of people can relate to. And I feel like, you know, if I can help one person, then my goal is accomplished.
I've always said that because the thing is, a phrase that I always use is like, you change one person, you change the world, because it's a domino effect after that. Because it's like, literally, you change one person, that person is changed, and it goes to their friend, then it goes to their friend, their partner, their family, whatever. It's all a domino effect. A lot of people are always like, I'm going to change the world. I want to change the world. They're thinking mass amount of numbers, but now, like, you change one person, you change one life, you literally would change the world. So, you know, start small. Small little notions equal, like, big impact. So when, you know, you say, like, my story, we hear this, but, you know, we gonna get beyond surface level, like, your story. So
I'm ready.
A lot of people may not know this, but, you know, you were arrested multiple times. You did experience homelessness. You know, you were someone that dropped out of high school. Again, what I love about your story is just like so many things that has been like, nah, like, she ain't gonna make it. She's not gonna do anything. She's not gonna amount to anything. I saw, like, the day you were trying to become a police officer, and the day when you were literally supposed to take your exam, you got locked up too. So it's just it's a lot, like, you know. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So I was actually in a relationship with someone. It was a toxic relationship. She got pregnant on me, took her back, raised her kid. It was abusive. She would do things to trigger me. And granted, I should have never put my hands on her, but I did. That was the only relationship I ever put my hands on somebody. And it was because she triggered me so much. Like, she would say things about my childhood. And it's like, I confided in you. Why would you use that against me? But to get to the story of me being locked up, one day we were arguing. And she knew I had drugs on me. I was selling drugs for, it's kind of like, I don't want to get too much into it because it's a story. It's someone else's story that I don't want to tell. But it had to do with my mom. She was sick at the time, and I was doing what I thought I had to do to make sure that she was going to survive. So I was selling the drugs. She called the cops on me that day because I didn't want to give her the money that she claimed was hers when it was never hers. It's my money. So she called the cops on me. She told them that I hit her. I had so when you're dealing coke, you deal with like the cut. I had cut on me and a scale. So they caught me with that. They arrested me. They charged me. But I had just taken a civil service test. I got a lawyer. I told the lawyer. The lawyer happened to be cool with the prosecutor. It was a municipal charge. It wasn't nothing crazy. So she spoke with the prosecutor. She's like, listen, this girl's trying to get her life on track. They dropped the charges. That's the day I was arrested and I had my interview. So I spoke to the sergeant. I said, listen, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I want to do right. Can you give me another chance? She's like, listen, I can give you another chance. As long as you had the charges dropped, we're good. I messed up and did it again. I kept selling drugs and I got caught. And this time when I got caught, I was facing 5 years in prison.
Wow.
Yeah, I was facing 5 years in prison. I had multiple charges. I'm talking about 100 feet from a public school zone. I think it was like 500 feet from public housing, resisting arrests, a whole bunch of stuff. But that was my first offense. So when it went to the main like court, I don't know if it's Superior Court. Is it Superior? I think it's Superior Court. Yeah, I don't know. It was one of those. But they basically dropped the charges. And I mean, they didn't drop the charges on that one. They gave me probation.
Okay.
And that's what like set me straight. It was like I heard 5 years and I was like, yeah, nah, this is not for me. Like just a little bit of time that I spent in the county jail, I was like, this is not for me. Like,
yeah.
So from that day forward, I chose to do better. But that was just the start of it. Like I went through so much after that.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing that I really want to like give you your flowers for too is like you're open about like, look, I was not a perfect person. A lot of people would try to portray themselves as like, yeah, I have all my stuff together. I've always been in the right. I've always been, it's always everyone else. But you're like, I've noticed like with a couple of your posts too, like, yo, like I made a lot of mistakes. I own up to my mistakes. I take accountability for those mistakes. Yeah, a lot of people try to screw me over, but this is a part of growth. This is something that I even emphasize with a lot of people. It's just, it's okay to acknowledge when you're wrong. It's okay to acknowledge like, yo, like I fucked up. Like it's okay to be like, yo, I just was not in a good situation. I was not in a good environment. I didn't have good people, surrounding myself. A lot of things plays a part into the mistakes we make as humans. But as humans, we also have the ability to turn all of that around. So like, that's one thing, I really admire about you is like, you're always like transparent about that. I mean, I know you never really openly spoke about it. I didn't know this. But again, I think that's something that's so beautiful about the human experience. It's just like, we're not perfect. But also like acknowledge when you did wrong. Acknowledge so you can grow from that and then you learn from that and become better. And then also you can teach other people to make sure they don't make the same mistakes as you. But I mean, I think that's also, it's really important to, with me, like I try always to like, don't judge people. You don't know why they made certain choices. You don't know, what caused them. Because you said, you were trying to provide for your mom who was sick at the time. And, plays a part. Like, a lot of people, when we're on that survival mode, we make choices that based off of survival choices. Yeah,
and I mean, that choice that I made, this is something that, because I get mentored by my pastor. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that it was a choice that I made. I used to blame my mom a lot for it.
Yeah.
And she would tell me, like, listen, you made that choice. And it's true. Like, I made that choice. There was so many other ways I could have got money.
Yeah.
Yes, I took the fast route. I took the way that I knew. That's the only thing I knew. So that's the way I took. But I think the part that got me over that and accepted what happened and allowed me to let go of it was taking accountability. So that's why you say, it's good to be open. It's good to realize the choices that we make. And it's true, because if we don't take accountability for the things that we do and we're continuously blaming other people, we're never going to grow.
Absolutely.
I think that's the main thing, is taking accountability for the choices that you make.
Yeah, and it's okay, guys. It's okay to admit that you're wrong. I want to emphasize that. Like, it's okay to admit when you're wrong. We're humans. We're not perfect. We're not God. We're not Jesus. We're not, whoever you believe in. Like, we make mistakes, but, there's just something so beautiful in the growth when you realize, like, I can change from this mistake. I can grow from this mistake. I can empower others from this mistake. Like, your mistake does not need to it does not define who you are. It's like, okay, you know, it's a part of my story, but it's not my story.
Yeah.
It's just a chapter in it. So what made you, wow. So I know, I mean, another thing, if you want to talk about, you know, you were a high school dropout. So, you know, what led to those decisions to you being a high school dropout?
So if we're being transparent here,
We're being very transparent here.
I'm with that. I'm ready for that. So what led me to dropping out was my mom raised me with another woman. Mm-hmm. She was with her for a lot of my years up until like I think about 14. Mm-hmm. So once I hit 14, they separated. When they separated, my mom, I don't know what happened. My mom just she spiraled. We lost our house. Like, it was bad. And we were living out of a hotel, just me and my mom. Like, my sister had her father. Mm-hmm. I didn't have my father, so I couldn't go to him. Like, it was just me and my mom. Like, that was my rock. Mm-hmm. So I stood by her side. But it was, like, embarrassing to, like, get picked up from a school, like a school bus with all my friends on a bus from a hotel. So I started to kind of, like, rebel. I started hanging out with people that I wasn't supposed to be hanging out with. I started doing drugs. And I just dropped out of high school. I was like, oh, this is not for me. That's when I started selling drugs. I started selling drugs at the age of 15, 14. So that's what kind of led me to, like, be, like you said, the way that lifestyle. Like, it was me being homeless. That's what led me to not want to be in school anymore. Like, I just didn't want it anymore. I felt like I'm talking about I would be in school cursing teachers out. Like, I would leave classrooms. They'd be like, oh, you're going to fail. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I thought I was class clown. Like, it was... But now, I mean, now that I look at it, like, I feel like if I wouldn't have done that, a lot of what the other things that I've dealt with, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
I went back. I got my high school diploma. I went back.
Okay.
I even graduated from college. I have a sociology degree.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, like, I went back, but, like, at the time that I dropped out, I was going through so much. Like, I didn't have my father. My mom was, you know, I love her to death, but, like, the choices that she was making, and I know that she did the best that she could with me. Like, she did
the best for her situation.
Yeah, because another thing that my pastor taught me is you can't expect something from someone that they don't have.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mom lost her mother at the age of 10. She died from cancer. So, like, she was raised, you know, in the system, and she went through a lot of things. So she raised me the only way she knew how. And I love her for that, you know, but there were certain choices that I wish she would have made better. But, I mean, those choices led to my choices, and my choices led to this, so.
Do you still talk to your other stepmom?
She passed away.
She's the one, okay.
Yeah, she passed away in 2019. They said it was from cancer, but I think it was from COVID, because that was when COVID first started. So she was fine. Like, I had just seen her. And
you still had a relationship with her even after
absolutely.
her and your mom separated?
That was my heart. That was my soul. That was, when she passed away, that was when I went through it. Like, that with the narcissistic relationship that I dealt with was what led me to actually, I never told you this, but it led me to want to, like, commit suicide. Like, I was going through it. Like, I spiraled bad. Like, I spiraled really bad when she passed away. But they said like I said, they said it was from cancer, but I don't think it was. I think it was from COVID. It was when COVID first happened. She ended up being on, like, this breathing machine. She had a fever.
It just happened really fast.
Yeah, it did. And,
so
like, I couldn't even believe it. I was in total shock. I didn't accept that she passed away until, I want to say, last year. And she's been gone since 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard for me. It was really hard for me.
I mean, I can only imagine. I know this is something we briefly discussed, but, like, that happened in 2019. We have the world shutting in 2020. So then, you know, you're kind of, like, stuck with your thoughts. And, you know, and then we had everything that was happening in the world all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was going through it, you know, mentally and emotionally, and then to be, you know, dealing with the loss. Wow. But,
and then on top of that, I was in a 10-year relationship. I was engaged. So I was going through a separation of that at the same time.
At 2019?
Yeah. 2019, 2020 is when I separated from my ex-fiance of 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I raised her daughters. It was a lot. It was a lot. Like, that was the turning point for me. Everything started hitting me. But that whole situation is what kind of turned me around. Like, so I'm thankful for it. It hurt, but I'm thankful for it.
It's crazy because, I mean, they always say when you're in the womb, God already has, like, your entire story laid out before you're even born.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to just like, again, when all the bad things are happening back to back and you're just like, why? Like, what did I do to deserve this? I'm trying. But it's crazy, the whole concept of surrendering and releasing your worries to God and just trusting the fact that, again, like, I don't understand why this is happening right now, but like just knowing that everything just plays a part of your story. So it's like you said, like, right now you have a platform where you're able to inspire thousands of people on a day-to-day basis. But I'm pretty sure at the time when you were going through like your relationship with, your ex-fiance, when you were experiencing the loss of your mom, when you were just not in a good place, you didn't even think you would be doing this.
Nah. There's a quote that I actually love, and I always share this with people because it's the truth. It goes like this. Life is only understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards, because it's the truth. You don't understand things why they're happening, but you understand it after. I'm pretty sure if you look back at a lot of things, you're like, now I know why. But you don't understand it at that point, but you got to keep going because what are you going to do, But that's why I love that quote, because it's the truth. Like, you don't understand what's actually happening in your life at that moment until everything already has happened, and why it happened, like, it shows you why it happened. Like, the purpose comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna say every time I come out of a situation where I feel the enemy was testing me in multiple ways, and then look back and it's like, okay, I get it now. All right, this makes sense.
I mean, they don't say that statement for a reason. The enemy doesn't test you, for no reason. It's something that you have that he's testing you. Like they say, a thief doesn't break into a house that doesn't have anything in it. It has valuable things in it. So they're going to try to break into the house to take those valuable things. So it's like the enemy's testing you for a reason. Yeah. He knows your purpose, and he's trying to avoid you from actually reaching that and pursuing it. So.
No, that's really a sermon that I actually listened to recently. They were talking about the fact of like, so obviously we're all born with a purpose. A lot of people may think like, oh, I don't have a purpose. No, nothing's my... Like, every single body that's born, they're born with a purpose. God has a purpose for every single one. But literally, from the moment you're born, the enemy's only purpose is to throw you off from your purpose. So it's just, it's so easy. Like, it's literally, he's just trying to... The plan has never changed for you, basically. From the moment you were born, God's plan has never changed for you. The enemy tries to throw you off the track, tries to throw the plans off, and you're like, big dog, what's going on? Like, what's the plan? Like, God's plan never changed for anyone, but the enemy will do everything they can in its power to make you think that you're off track, to make you think that it's not part of the plan, to make you think that, like, you're not worthy, you're not valuable, but, like, the moment you realize, like, nah, like, I don't understand what's happening right now, but God has a bigger plan for me. I'm sorry, the moment when you come into, like, full understanding of that, like, you literally fucking shake the enemy off.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be strong. No matter what you go through, you have to be strong. You have to have faith that everything's gonna be all right.
And, it's just like, who are you going to surrender to? Are you surrendering to the enemy, or are you surrendering to God?
I mean, I also saw this other quote. It was like, it says something like this. It was like, so fear and faith both have the ability to have you believing in something that you cannot see. So which one are you going to choose? Fear is false evidence appearing real. I told you that before. It's an illusion. And then faith, you can't see, but you can believe in it. So which one are you going to choose to believe in? I choose to believe in faith over fear. Does fear still take over me at times? Absolutely. But that's when I prayed before I got here. Because I told you, like, me speaking in front of people, and it could be 2-3 people, I fear it because, it makes me nervous. Like, it's just something that kind of takes over me. But I prayed and I was good, And I mean, everyone made me feel comfortable.
Multiple people. All right, so your platform, you're coming off of your 10-year relationship back in 2019. When did you, what made you want to start doing the videos that you're doing now? So for those of you guys who don't follow her, she's very consistent with releasing a series of videos and content in general that the sole purpose is basically just having you shift your mindset, having you shift your mindset with how you view the world, how you view yourself, how you view relationships, how you view God. So what was the turning point, or when you decided, all right, I want to turn my page into this? I know you said, I remember when I said I was trying to do research on you, and you were like, I used to have another page, like a personal page, but you got rid of that, and then you started this page. So what made you want to start this platform?
So earlier I spoke about the narcissistic relationship I was in. So there was a relationship I went in after my 10-year relationship. That was right when I lost my mom, like maybe a year into it. And she was someone who, girl, I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. It was like everything was perfect. She was saying everything I wanted to hear. She bombed the shit out of me. Like it was just perfect. And maybe like 4 months into the relationship, she started acting funny to the point where it was making me question, like, am I doing enough? Did I do something wrong? Let me do more. But the more I did, the more she pulled away. She would like criticize me in ways that would kind of like and I'm not a person who I do not have insecurities. I'm not a low self-esteem person. So like the way I was starting to feel, I'm like she'll make like little jokes like, oh, you so short, because she was like 5'5". I'm 5'4".
You're like, you got 1 inch on me.
She'll be like, you're not 5'4", you're like 5'2", and I'll be like, bro, I'm 5'4". Like, why would I lie about that? I'm 5'4". No, you're short. And it would have me to the point where I'm like, I would have to like sit up straight, like, hold on, let me make sure I'm taller around her. It would be like little things like that. Like, and she would hurt me in ways that were unbelievable. And after I broke up with her, like she actually left me on my second mom that passed away's year anniversary. And the same day I was taking a freaking exam for my college. So I like that right there. That was the relationship that completely, I'm talking about broke me in half. Like I was going through it. And I started on my personal TikTok page. I started making little videos here and there. It went like fast, and I was like, oh, okay, let me keep going. But then she weaseled her little way back in. I let her.
You talking about me, big heads?
I let her. I let her. I let her come back in. I thought things changed, and it didn't. It went back to the same thing. So after that relationship, I finally worked up the courage to be like, listen, I'm not asking to be with you. I walk on eggshells with you. I'm not happy. I'm not myself. We ended things. And a little bit after that, I was like, I just started making the podcast again, but with someone else. And it and she was the one that like initiated it. She was like, yo, let's make a podcast. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we made a podcast, but things weren't working out. Like she didn't have enough time. She had kids. So it wasn't working with me. And I'm a person who likes to take charge. Like when I want something done, I want it done, and I want it how I want it. And it just wasn't working. And I went on my own. I branched on my own from there. And I saw like what one video did. It got 1 million views. And I was like, oh, hold on, I got something here. And so I just kept on with it. And it like overnight, I just started doing this not even a year. Like it just hit a year in April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I already have like 100, I think it's like 140,000 followers. So I'm like, if I keep going, what can come from this? Like, obviously, this is what I'm meant to do. They say when you're not meant to do something, it's going to stay stagnant. What is meant for you will prosper. And it prospered overnight. Like, it grew overnight. And I'm like, this is what I was made. My pastor tells me all the time, this was your purpose. You went through everything you went through to speak your truth, to speak your story. So keep doing it. And there's days where I'm going to tell you right now, I want to give up. There's days where I'm like, I can't do this. This is stressing me out. But I keep going regardless. Well, like, a lot of people message me and be like, you know, you help me, you inspire me. But I'm like, little do y'all know, like, y'all keep me going. When y'all tell me these things, y'all keep me going. Because there's been so many times where I wanted to be like, man, I'm done with this. This is taking too much out of me. Yeah. But I don't. I keep going.
No, I get that. I mean, I've, recently... I'm going all in. I've like launched a variety of different businesses and different brands, but I've never, like you said, things kind of stay stagnant because it's not really meant for you. I just, I've always treated everything as a side project. This is my first time like giving something my all. Just, celebrated our 1 year anniversary in March.
Congratulations.
But I just in March was when I decided to like go 100% into Jefatona. But it's scary. It's scary because, again, like, if this is the only thing you're doing and this is, like, not knowing, like, all right, because, like, with me, it's not like I'm just doing this for me. Like, I have a team I have to pay for. There's multiple things that makes, the ship run. And I'm just like, yo, like, I have, again, if people aren't engaged, if this is not growing, if this is not that, I'm like, I'm taking care of my family. There's a lot happening. Like, before, this was just, like, a little side thing, additional source of income. But now with this is like my only source of income. It's scary But it's just, again, I literally, and again, it's crazy because it started off as a party series. And I'll get girls that message me just saying like, them just attending the party, how it just changed their entire perspective on womanhood, on sisterhood, on themselves. Like, to have a place that creates freedom, that creates joy, a place that they feel safe to like let loose. And I'm like, yo, like I'm doing this with just a quote unquote party. So like, I have like this vision of what I, see Jefatona growing into, different ways to impact women. So not just in the party and event space, obviously just like playing the whole concept was like shifting their mindsets in different ways. So, and it's the same thing as you. Like I'm always I love my community. Like I don't take anyone for granted at all. Everyone that sends me messages, everyone that DMs me, emails me, comments, whatever, just saying how like something, impact. I'm like, like Delilah. Especially on those low days, I feel like God just kind of like sends an angel wing to me, like through someone, because like on those low days is usually when I get a message and I'm like, all right, Delilah, suck it up. Like you good. Let's get back to work. We're gonna figure something out. We're gonna do something. So I definitely do get that 100%. I don't know. I didn't tell you this, but the way I found you online, I was actually just coming out of a situationship. Well, I don't know what I call it a situationship because we were talking. It was a situation. It was a situation, but there was definitely a lot of emotions involved, a lot of vulnerability on my end. But there was also a lot of red flags that, like, that I was ignoring because I was just seeing the potential, like, in this person. And I mean, it was there. And this is something I was actually speaking to someone else on another podcast that, I'm really emphasizing the concept of, discernment and, like, practicing that now more than ever. Because I feel like I have really good intuition, but I ignore it a lot because I try to see, like, the better version of someone. But you had a video that when I was like scrolling, I remember this day, like I was going through it because like, she had played me. It was a whole thing, got, everything that I did for her. And I was going through it emotionally. And it's so funny because in the video you mentioned something along the lines of like, God stepped in to make that person walk out of your life because it was his way of protecting you. So like, I remember that video, like I was just like, when I saw that, I stopped. And then, like, I remember I took it as a sign that he knew I was hanging on to hope that I didn't need to be there because that person kept on exposing they weren't right for me. But I was still hanging on to that hope. So it's just so, and so that's how I was like, who this girl? And I was like, she's speaking to me right now because, again, I mean, this is not to say the person's a bad person. They just weren't my person. But I was just showing, consistently over and over again, like I was just ignoring all the red flags that like, that they weren't my person. But it was that video that made me follow you. But I guess I would want to ask, like, how do you navigate seeing people for who they are instead of their potential? Because that's my issue. Because it's like I always want to see the good in people. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that always want to see the good in people that like go off for their potential. But sometimes you can't be banking off of someone's potential. You have to bank off of who they are right now.
That's a good question. We were just speaking about good questions, before we started. Yeah. But I think that what helps me navigate through it is what I've already been through. And sometimes if you don't learn from those situations, God will continue to put those situations in front of you because you're not learning from it. So to me, it's like, I already been through this. I already know what it's like to see someone's potential. And stick with them because I see who they could be. Yeah. But the real question is like, what if they're not ever gonna fulfill what you see them as? And it's like, why continue to put yourself through that? So anytime I'm put in a situation like that, I legit have to ask myself, like, is this worth it? Like, you've already been through this. So why are you going to continue to put yourself through it more? People are who they are. And sometimes you can't make someone be what they don't have the capacity to be. Yeah. You have to let them see that on their own. And if they don't, you got to let them go. Yeah. So it's like, for me, what helps me navigate through that is what I've already been through. I've already seen people's potential. And to me, that's just another illusion. You're seeing what they could be. Are they really that? You get me? Like, are they really that? Will they ever be that? They're not ever going to be what you want them to be. You have to accept people where they're at and be able to deal with it or let them go. Because you can't change people. Yeah. You can't teach someone what is not in them. So it's like, you gotta ask yourself the question, do you love yourself enough to let this person go? because, and that's what I asked myself. I recently had met someone who was damaged. At first, everything was cool, but she was damaged.
That's what I went through.
And it's like I'm not, and I tried.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on. You got to do this work on your own.
Yeah.
And I get it. We all come with baggage. There's no such thing as entering a relationship with no baggage. We're human. We're not perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. And it's okay for you to come with some baggage. And, you know, the right person will help you with that. But when you're coming with 4, 5, 6, 7 suitcases, you're going to have to deal with that on your own because I love myself too much. And I've accomplished too much. I've grown so much. I'm not going to allow you to take me back to who I used to be. And when you're damaged like that, you're going to trigger parts of me that I've already dealt with. I'm not doing that. So to me, it's like I love myself too much. I've already went through this. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah. Before I was going to launch a podcast with a friend of mine, and the name of the podcast was actually something that was based off of that, you know, the person I was talking to. But the name of the podcast was going to be "I Like You, But I Love Me." So because and this is going to be with everything, like, you know, professional relationships, friends, whatever. Because you can like someone, you can like them a lot, but you know, you have to love yourself at the end of the day. And it's just like a lot of us, we have. Again, you know, we look at the potential because we really like this person, and we ignore our own self-love. Even we ignore how they're making us feel. We ignore the red flags. We ignore that, like, they're just not our person because, like, we like them.
Yeah.
So it's just, like, just kind of operating in space, just, you know, moving forward. Like, yo, I like you, but I love me. So it's just, like, and it's so funny you say that because that's something I've been, you know, just kind of leaning on, too. Like, because it's people that I talk to, and I'm like, you're cool, but it's just you're not where I need you to be, and that's fine. It doesn't make you a bad person, you know. And I realized that even with the previous person I was talking to, like, they're not a bad person. They just weren't where I needed them to be. Like, they were still dealing with their own healing journey. You know, they had their own trauma they had to go through, and you know, if I'm not their person that, you know, that will make them want to change, then I'm just not their person. That's why I had to accept that. So it's just like, because, you know, every girl always wants to be the reason why this person changed, or I'm going to stick through the BS because I'm going to be the reason why they change. Like, nah, like, if it doesn't happen organically, if it doesn't happen, I feel like I feel like I did a lot. Like, I did, like, I'm like, yo, whatever you need, I got you. I'll take care of you. And it was a lot, and I feel like I was very vulnerable. I made myself very emotional. I opened myself in a way I never did before. But yeah, my lesson from that afterwards was just like, you know, again, like, can't be forcing something. Like, things should just happen naturally and organically. And yeah, but that's the story of how I started following you, was because of that.
I mean, you should continue to be. I always tell people you should continue to be that person.
Yeah.
You just got to know who to be that with.
No, I know. You know, this is. So I've been single for like over 12 years, right? I've been closed off for a lot of years, but a lot of it is not, you know, really based on like other people. It's been because of me. You know, I spoke openly about this like on my Instagram, on previous podcast episodes and stuff. Like, I've dealt with so many years of insecurity. I've dealt with like a lot of just like self-hate, you know, a lot of like, you know, mentally and emotionally was just not there. And I just never felt like I was, even though I know I bring a lot to the table, I never felt like I was valuable or worthy or anything. But this deals with other childhood trauma that, you know, that's just kind of like passed on to me, that like, and it affected like, you know, my relationships. I just never felt like they're not going to want me, they're going to cheat on me, they're going to not whatever. So I was always sabotaging myself, but I take ownership in that. But I know who I am as a person. Like, I have like so many beautiful platonic love you know, relationships with my friends, with my community, with my family members. But I've always operate out of love. That's just who I am. But when it comes to a partner, I'll just be like, I'm just like, it'll be good. And then like, I'll do something to just kind of like
Self-sabotage?
Yeah, to self-sabotage. And, you know, I think with the previous situation, it was just like, yo, this was my first time. I was really being open. I was really being vulnerable. I was really like, yo, I see a future with this person and all this stuff. So like, and then the fact that she did exactly what like I was scared of, it's just it brought all this like childhood trauma. It made everything into like, you know, life, like, you know, things that was told to me about, you know, potential partners and stuff. So it was a real triggering time, but, you know, I've learned from it, I've grown from it, but I always move in love. That, you know, that's just how I am. But I know, like, I was talking to my friend about this, like, I'm not gonna let that stop me. It's just kind of like I'm really operating on a space of love. And again, whatever's meant to be is gonna it's gonna happen organic and naturally and just kind of like just have it go from there. Like whatever God wants me basically at this point. But before it was just like it was me. Like, and I know it. Like I have people that ask me out all the time or try to talk and it would just be me. I would just be closing people out. But yeah, but now I'm like, all right, God, what's going on?
I'm ready.
We ready. But yeah, so just kind of talking about relationships in general, you talk a lot about being used, the feeling of manipulation, and not being treated right in relationships. And I know this is something you personally went through in your own relationships, but I guess, like, you know, what advice do you have for anyone that is going through, like, feeling, you know, manipulated, feeling used, feeling just, going through all of it? Because there's people that know that they're being manipulated and they just kind of like, they keep with it. There's people that know they're being used. There's people that know that, you know, they're not being treated right, but they still stay in certain situations.
I usually tell people, and I actually have a video like this where it talks about that, where you know you're being used, you know, and usually like being used, manipulation, that usually comes from a narcissist. And it's hard to escape that because usually 9 times out of 10, you don't know that you're caught up in that until they already have you wrapped up in their web. But it's like you legit have to find that strength within inside of you to be like, and this is where I say it always comes with loving yourself. Because when you don't love yourself, when something within you is not right, that is broken, that you refuse to fix, you're going to keep dealing with that.
Yeah.
So the objective is when you're dealing with these things, when you're going through a consistent battle of manipulation, of being used, you have to ask yourself, what is broken inside of me? What do I need to fix that will prevent me from actually continuously dealing with this? That's something I had to ask myself. Why do I keep dealing with this? Why do I keep continuously allowing people to use me? Why do I find comfort in this? Mine was the trauma from my father. So there's always something.
I just looked at Issa because, like, she knows I'm always bringing up, we always talk about dads, and it seems like every single episode, but it's just, it's crazy.
Mine was my father. I dealt with a lot of neglect from him, a lot of lack of love. I questioned a lot of things, and those things trickled down they projected into my relationships.
Yeah.
I always searched for things in other people, not realizing that it was within me the entire time. So like I said, you have to ask yourself, there's 9 times out of 10, when you're tolerating some fuck shit, you are lacking something within inside yourself, and that's where the accountability comes in. And like I said, until you learn that lesson, you're going to keep repeating it. So if anyone's dealing with continuous abuse from a person, whether it's physical or emotionally, you have to ask yourself, why am I tolerating this? What am I lacking inside of me? What do I need to fix? And 9 times out of 10, a lot of people aren't going to do that. Why? Because they're afraid of actually facing what's behind that. Healing is not easy. It's hard, and it's why a lot of us run from it. Because healing deals with you actually sitting with yourself, not talking to not a single soul. A lot of people are like, yeah, I've been single for 5 years, but I've been talking to Susan, Jane, and Joe. Or, you get me? You have to sit with yourself, deal with those times where you're sitting in your house crying your eyes out, screaming into your pillow, crying with the ugly face in the shower. Like, you have to go through that. And when you overcome it, it's like, yeah, it is. It's work. And a lot of people run from it because they don't want to deal with the pain that comes with it.
No, I mean, they don't want to acknowledge, like, the bad traits. Like I mentioned, like, that shadow work is deep. I promise, healing is not just cute quotes on Instagram and bubble baths.
That's what people think it is.
Going
like,
out on a walk.
Let me go get a manicure real quick and a massage. No, that's not self-love. Yeah, it's part of it.
My nails done. Like,
no, you gotta sit with yourself. You therapy. Like, people are so caught up on their pride. Like, I'm not going to therapy. I don't need no help. Yeah, you do. I feel like even me now, I continue, like, I've been slacking a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, I haven't seen my pastor in a while. But I still need that. I'm still looking for that because we never fully heal. There's levels. There's levels, legit levels. You're going to heal from whatever it is that had you broken last year.
You're going to have new forms of
trauma.
And
this year is going to come new things that you need to heal from. And 5 years from now, you're going to have more things you need to heal from. That's life.
Yeah.
You're never going to be completely healed. The objective is to continuously work on becoming, the best version of you.
No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, a lot of people always ask me, like, Delilah, how are you always so positive or so jolly or so, like, happy on a day-to-day basis? And it's just, like, this is not something that happens overnight. It's not like, I go to sleep one night and, everything that I went through, like, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Life is great. Life is great. Like, no, I'm constantly working on myself on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm very intentional, even how I start my days. I start my days, my 5-minute journal. I'm already starting my days. Yeah, like, speaking gratitude. After that, I'm literally in meditation with God. I'm journaling and I do like my other journal. Like, I appreciate, I do understand, like, it is a privilege that I have slow mornings, or I can do this. So it's just, but again, I'm very intentional when I start my days. I'm starting my days with me. I'm starting my days with God. So it's like a routine that I have because, like, again, it's something I have to work on a daily basis. And it's not like I just wake up and everything is great. Like, there's so much bullshit I'm going through right now.
I feel you. I'm the same way.
They don't know. And it's okay. It's not that I put on a mask, everything is fine, but it's just like, my thing is just something I've always tell people, especially people that I mentor, is just, one thing, like, you cannot control what people say, you cannot control what people do, but the one thing you always have complete control is how you react to every single situation. Yeah. So it's like, with me, I'm very, like, I want to be in control of, like, my happiness. I want to be in control of feeling gratitude. I want to be in control of, feeling God's love and stuff. It's so easy. Like, there's stuff that I'm going through right now with family. There's stuff that I'm going through right now with business. There's stuff that I'm going through just, like, personally. But you're still going to see me wake up every day showing my gratitude, like, sharing what I'm thankful for, saying my morning phrase, it's a beautiful day to have a beautiful day. Because, like, again, I'm not going to let things throw me off. But yeah, there's the healing. It's not something that, like, all right, I reached the end of my healing journey. We're good. Okay, don't have to do any more work. Like, no, like, this is something you're going to work on for the rest of your life.
There's no destination for healing at all.
There isn't. And, you have to be intentional about that. And it's just, like, again, like, it's something you have to work on a day-to-day basis. Like, want to elaborate, do I go through bullshit? Absolutely. But do I let it get to me? Absolutely not. Because I'm like, yo, I don't take for granted being alive. Like, we're all alive for only a short time. Yeah. And, God put me on this earth for a reason. And, I'm going to make the best of it. So, like, I'm not going to give people power to throw me off. So, just for those that are watching, it's just like, oh, Delilah's life is perfect. They're like, it's not.
I say the same thing. I'm like, everybody thinks I'm just happy-go-lucky. Like, no, I go through things. Like,
no, we don't let
we're human. It doesn't take away from who we are.
So what's the biggest lesson you've learned during your own self-love journey?
The biggest lesson I think I've learned, there's actually two, so I'm going to give you two. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is, we just spoke about this, you can't make someone be who they don't have the capacity to be. You have to accept people for who they are, let them go. And the other one was silence, the power that comes with silence. Sometimes no reaction is the best reaction. I feel like sometimes people trigger you and they know exactly what they're doing and they do it to get a reaction out of you. And when you don't give them a reaction, pay attention to how it actually pisses them off. Yeah. Like, I feel like I used to always be I'm a Leo, so I got to have the last word. I always got something to say. But I've learned that it's like, you don't always have to have something to say. Yeah. Sometimes no answer is the best answer. Yeah. Those are probably the two biggest lessons I've learned.
It's so interesting you say it in that way, because someone had pointed out that, like, oh, you shut people out. You shut people. And it's not, I don't really do that. I do it in a sense to, like, because I'm setting my own boundaries. If I know someone's doing intentionally, and I think here's the thing, I don't speak on things, but I see things. I don't speak on everything that I see, because I don't feel like everything needs a reaction, everything needs me to say. But one thing about me, I notice and I peep everything. Yeah. So it's just like, I may not say them, like, you know what, I see how you're moving, that's fine, then I'll just remove you from my life, Yeah. But I don't do it in a malicious way. I don't do it I'm just like, I don't feel the need to entertain you. I don't feel the need to engage with you, because I know you did something shady. You did something shady. I wish you the best. Is there any beef? No, but, like, I'm not going to entertain or whatever. But with me doing that, I'll get people will be like, well, you're so easy to shut people out. You're so easy to, like, that you need to work on your own healing, whatever. And so I guess, like, I go back and forth about
That's why I'm shutting you out. What you mean?
Oh, like, and I guess that's where like the manipulation comes in, or like people just trying
that
to
is
be,
manipulation.
Because
When
you're trying to
someone
make me feel bad for being protective of my energy. You're trying to make me feel bad for like, yo, like I know you're doing shady stuff, and you know you're doing shady stuff. You're a grown ass person. Like I shouldn't need to address it.
You didn't see the
So,
video
like,
I made that has that? It talks about. I just made a video about that. It's like, you know what you did. If I cut you out of my life, this is exactly what it said. If I cut you out of my life, it's 9 times out of 10 you gave me a legitimate reason. You handed me the scissors. You know what you did.
Yeah.
Don't try to act stupid.
Yeah.
You know what you did. I'm just not gonna give you a reaction.
Yeah.
My reaction is me cutting you out. And you saying, oh, it's easy. No, I'm cutting you out because you did some fuck shit.
Yeah.
I'm cutting you out because you obviously don't respect me. You don't love me. So I don't need that. I can sit all alone at my table. I'm perfectly fine with an empty table. I'm not going to have people at my table that don't reciprocate or bring anything for me to eat. Like, I'm feeding you, but you don't bring me nothing to eat. Like, it doesn't work that way. And people know what they do. And it's like, I'm not giving you a response. I'm not giving you. People love that. They feed off of that. They feed off of your response.
Feeds their ego.
So when I don't give a response, they get mad, and it's like I'm not gonna.
They'll get mad. They'll call you immature.
Be mad. I'll be all of that. But like I said before, I worked on myself too much for me to go back to who I used to be. I'm not. No.
Okay, so I do want to touch on this. You mentioned.
This sounds like a deep question.
Well, I mean, it's something we've been going back and forth. So you mentioned you used to be emotional, but you stopped a while ago. So what led you to this decision, and why are you afraid of your emotions or showing emotions?
It's not that I'm afraid of my emotions. It's that I used to be very emotional. I used to be very intuitive when it comes to things like that. But I think I've been hurt so much, and not only from relationships, just people in general that I've allowed in my space. I've been hurt so much that it showed me that, like, there's no point in actually showing your emotions completely. Like, I know how to show emotions. I know when to be emotional, when not to be, and who to be emotional with. But I try to refrain from that because I feel like people take advantage of your emotions.
But do you think you're like holding yourself back from experiencing a healthy love because you don't want to show your emotions, or because people are just gonna go like, oh, she don't know how to express herself.
No, that's not. I can express myself very well, but you have to be a person who shows me that you're someone I can open up to. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna just open up to anybody. Like, it takes a while for me to open up to someone, because when I have been vulnerable, when I have opened up, people use that against me. Mm-hmm. Like, relationships that I've had that I've opened up about my childhood, people use that against me. Relationships where I've legit sat there and was emotional with them and cried to them, begged, like, it gets you nowhere to me. Like, but that's I know that eventually the right person will come along. But until that happens, like, emotions for me it's just like a little gateway for people to come in. And
I don't know. I feel like you kind of, and it's something I spoke to Cass before, but you're like manifesting for bad things to happen because you're like, I don't want to show emotions because this person's going to hurt me or whatever. So you're already assuming a situation. You're already like, oh, like, we're not even going to do that because they're going to hurt me. I've done this before. And I just feel...
No. See, I give everybody a chance.
Okay.
But the minute you show me something of, like, a red flag, I'm cutting you out. I'm not going to be sitting here collecting red flags like they're roses. I'm sorry. I'm not. So the minute that you show me a red flag, I've learned my lesson where it's like, hold on. Because, like, if you look at it, right, the minute you accept one red flag, more start coming. So to me, it's like I'll be open with you. I'll show you a little vulnerability here and there. Yeah. But the minute you show me a red flag, I'm stepping back.
But do you think, like, when someone shows you a red flag, there's opportunity to communicate? So it's opportunity for growth. Because, again, someone's coming in, to you. They have their own situation. They have their own, like, whatever. Because, like we said, no one's perfect. Mm-hmm. But you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to, be self-aware. You have to be willing, and if no one's called them out, on this stuff before, I'm just trying to.
So okay, I get what you're saying.
Like, so if I see one red flag, I'm out the door.
Let me fix that. So like, I'm not perfect. Hold on, let me fix that. I'll address it to you.
Yeah.
but that's the last time. I'm not going to keep repeating myself.
Yeah.
So if I have to address something to you multiple times, you know something bothers me, something's not right, I'm telling you something where something's
that
off.
I got.
And you continuously do it, that's what I mean by like a red flag. Like you said, people aren't perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But what I mean by red flags are like major red flags. Like you know a red flag when you see one. Like it's like, okay, this person is manipulating the shit out of me right now. There's nothing for you to talk about because you're going to just continue to try to manipulate me. But like if you do something that's small that I feel like could be addressed and we can communicate about it, cool. I'm big on communication and comprehension because you got to have both.
Yeah, good communication. No,
I can talk to you till tomorrow, but if you're not comprehending the words that are coming out of my mouth, we're not going to get anywhere. But if you continuously repeat the same thing that I'm telling you about, it's over from there. I'm not. That's when the emotions.
You're like.
That's when people call me cold-hearted. That's when people call me cold-hearted 9 times out of 10.
Are you cold-hearted?
No, I'm not. Not at all.
She's like, no, I'm a teddy bear.
I'm a Leo. We lovable.
Prideful ass ego, but
here you go.
All right. So I know you spoke about this, and actually just had someone that was DMing me about this. I did want to bring this up in this conversation. So, what are your thoughts on someone expecting closure from someone that hurt them in order to move on? Because that's the thing, guys. That goes like, because people always say like, oh, you need closure.
For what?
You need this, you need that.
The disrespect is the closure. The lies are the closure. I feel like people ask for closure when they really don't want to let go. They think it's going to make something better. Let's be real. Let me ask you this, right? There's been times where you've asked for closure, right? Did it change anything for you? Does it take away the pain?
But did I get closure? No.
People,
that's what I'm like, if I get
closure to me doesn't exist. Closure, you're going to go through the pain regardless. Do I believe in 2 people being mature enough to walk away from a situation maturely? Yes. But closure doesn't exist to me. It's just a way of trying to just keep that person in, and that's it. Or like when you get for me, like when the last relationship I was in, when they cheated on me, that was all the closure I needed. I ain't need nothing else. You disrespected me. That was the closure. Me asking you, why did you cheat on me? You ain't gonna tell me. You know what you did. You're the only person that knows what you did. You did what you did. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all the closure I needed. You didn't love me. That's all the closure I needed. It's gonna hurt either way. So closure to me it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
No, closure, it's a lot. I mean, that's something, again, like I know me personally, I go back and forth. I'm like, oh, I do want closure with this person. I'm like, but do I really need it? Do I really? So, I mean, thanks for confirmation. Just kind of leave things as it is. And yeah, sometimes, closure is not needed, guys. Closure is the moment they just disrespect you, the moment they try to play you, the moment they did play you. Like, it's all the closure you need. You still wish them the best. Very big on, like, don't give anyone the energy, like, I need to do revenge. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to not. Nah, like, I still... Like, I know me personally, I don't have beef with anyone. Everyone that, like, I close out of my life, I've, cut them out of my life, I genuinely do wish everyone the best. 'Cause that's just who I am as a person. Like, I want everyone to win. Because I feel like if everyone were to win, there wouldn't be that many shitty people because we all win. So no one wants to be a shitty person. I feel like anyway.
Everyone that we've been through, whether they put us through hell or not, they're part of our journey. You know, they're basically like the little puzzle pieces that complete us. So it's like, why wish bad on them? No, like, even the narcissistic person I was with, I don't wish bad on her at all.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is that you choose to do, I wish you the best. You just will never have access to me again. That's just how I am.
It's just a part of setting boundaries in general. Like, boundaries are so important. And I feel like once you've learned that, I mean, boundaries plays a part with your self-love journey. The more you fall in love with yourself, the higher those boundaries would get. Because, like, I know even me personally, I'm like, yo, I work so hard to be this annoying ass jolly girl. You think I'm gonna let you mess it up for me?
Now you gotta set boundaries because if not, people are gonna overstep them every time.
So what's your best piece of advice for someone who struggles with setting boundaries? Because a lot of people do. A lot of people, and this used to be me, though, because, I mean, I can admit, like, I was such a big people pleaser. I still kind of am. It's just who I am. It's in my nature. I just, I love people. I love community. I love, like, all of that. But I'm better at setting boundaries with certain stuff. But there's a lot of people who don't know how to set those boundaries. They're just 100% doormats. They're 100% people pleaser. They're 100% like they want to feel accepted. They want to feel loved. Like, someone that struggles with boundary settings, what advice do you have for them?
So first things first, with boundaries is something that you will never perfect. It's something that you're supposed to work on to the day you leave this earth. It's actually something I still struggle with.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people look at me like, oh yeah, you got it all put together. No, I don't. I still struggle with boundaries.
Yeah.
But I do want to give out a book, actually, that you bring up boundaries. It's called The Set Boundaries Workbook.
Okay.
It's by Nedra Glover. It's on Amazon. You could get it for like $10. And it teaches you like things that you probably, even yourself, if you were to get it, you're probably going to ask yourself questions that the book is asking you, and you're going to be like, wow. Like it opens you up in a way that you wouldn't even believe.
Do you remember one of the questions from the book or no?
So one of the questions is like when people ask, like even family members, like when they ask you for something, do you have a hard time saying no? And do you feel bad about it? And it's like, I feel bad about... Somebody hit me up the other day and they're like, can you watch my dog? And I was like, oh, I feel so bad saying no. And it's like, I promise you, I went into the workbook and I was like, all right. I texted them back and I was like, no, I can't. I was like, I have things I have to do. Like, and you can't feel bad for it. Like, boundaries is a form of self-love. And if you're not practicing boundaries, then you have to work on that. But one thing, like I said, I can say is boundaries is something you continuously have to work on. And if you think that you're going to perfect it, you're not. Like in that book, it says it like setting boundaries and working on your boundaries is like brushing your teeth. You're never going to become perfect at it. You're going to work at it every single time. It's not something you perfect. It's something you have to keep working on. Like you will never be able to execute it fully. Like new people are going to come into your life and there's going to be different boundaries you have to set. But you have to be able to love yourself enough to set those boundaries. I think boundaries and a lot of things come with self-love. And if you practice self-love, then boundaries are easy to execute.
That's beautiful. I mean, love in general. Love within, love with community, love with God. I mean, speaking of God, what's up, big dog? You speak openly about your relationship with God, which is something that I love that you do. So when did your relationship start with God? Because, I mean, I know you speak about your past, these decisions you made that, just weren't the greatest decisions, and obviously things happening back to back for you. But when did you really start working on like an intentional relationship with God?
So the funny thing is that I was questioning if God was real for a long time because of a lot of the things that I was going through. I'm like, why would he put me, he loved me so much. Why would he put me through all of this? And there was something that I was going through where I was like kind of depressed. I was out of it. And recently, this is where I say everyone has this perfect picture of me, but just back in December, I was going through it. And this is a couple months into me having the podcast. And my sister was already in church. And she was like, listen, come to church. And I was like, yeah, I'll come. She kept asking me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come. One day, I wake up from a dream, and the dream, it was crazy. I remember it like to the T. I was like in this dark room. I was talking to my dog. And I was like, my dog's name is Zara. So I was like, Zara, I'm sorry. I have to leave you. Like, I'm so sorry. I was crying in the dream, and I heard this like a deep, manly voice. And it was like, I've been searching for you. I've been calling out to you. I've been giving you signs to come to me, and you don't listen. So now you're going to have to deal with things on your own. And I woke up. I called my sister right away. I was like, yo, I'm coming to church. So that Sunday, I went to church, and it led, the minute I walked in that church, I broke down. And ever since then, I've been nonstop. And so for Christianity, or a lot of people do like fasting. We did like a fast. So basically the fast consists of you giving up something that has complete control over you. To me, they were saying like the Daniel fast, things like that, but that's like cutting like certain foods
and stuff. Yeah.
I'm already on a diet. That's not hard for me. I'm not sacrificing anything.
Yeah.
So I was heavy on smoking weed at the time. Yeah. I asked my pastor, I said, listen, I smoke weed. Is me giving up weed going to contribute to that? She was like, absolutely. Does it have control over you? I was like, yeah. Makes me lazy. 9 times out of 10, I'm not creating content because of it. I quit weed, and I have not had any weed in my system whatsoever. And that actually brought me closer. Like the fasting, the struggle that I was going through, my pastor, all of those factors contributed to me actually getting closer to God. But when I stopped smoking weed is when I was reading the Bible. I was fasting every single morning. Like every morning I was on prayer line. I would pray in my house. I would be at the altar. Like I'm a member of my church now. Like I do media with them. Like it's like there's some Sundays I miss, but I'm really heavy on being in church and actually putting him first.
So this started this year?
December of
Last
the year
year
that just passed, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I obviously I do thank God for that, but I also thank my little sister for it because I
she
feel
was your
like
vessel.
he put her in a position to put me in the position. And to me, it's like, I actually reposted this on my story where it says, all I keep hearing God say is put me first and I'll put you in position.
Yeah.
And I feel like ever since I've been putting him first, and there's times where I slack off a little bit, but I feel like ever since I've been believing in him more, having faith in him more, a lot of things have been falling into place for me, like all around. But, I love every single minute of me actually having that relationship with him. Like a lot of people tend to like call on to other people, their friends, their families when they're having issues. And I learned recently that it's like, all you need to do is speak to God and everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel that 100% because even with me, I mean, that's something that I've struggled with for years, just like my relationship with God, only because, again, I grew up in a Catholic household. I've seen a lot of people do things that I'm not aligned with in the name of God or in the name of religion. And, one thing about me, I'm not a judgmental person at all. Like, I'm a very open-minded person. I'm very, like, open to, like, people in general. I've always been, like, just be a good person. Like, I don't care what that looks like. I don't need, and I've said this before, like I've always been like, I don't need a Bible to tell me to be a good person. I want to be a good person because it's generally the right thing to do. And, I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh no, I want to do this because the word told me this. I want to do this because I want to go into heaven. I want to do this. So I'm like, so I've always felt like there was something unethical about that because it's like, are you doing this because there's an incentive behind it? The incentive going to heaven, the incentive being blessed? Or are you doing it because it's generally your heart is telling you to do it, to do the good thing? So again, I've seen a lot of like, quote unquote religious people who are the most judgmental people, who are the most, the first people to put people down, the first people, to try to cast people out for them not being perfect, whatever. And I've never been that type of person.
Yeah.
So I've always struggled. I'm like, I don't want to be, if that's what being associated with God is, like, I don't want that. Like, I want to be a good person. So I feel like, I've struggled with my relationship with God for years. There was a time when I called myself atheist and agnostic, or, I was going through all of that. I've always been like, I know there's a higher being. I don't know who the higher being is, but I know there's some type of higher being. Yeah. But it's just like, I've never like clinged on to like a religion or anything. So, but it was like, last year was the year that I started like, being intentional. There was just so many things that were happening and I can't really explain it, but like I felt a presence and it's just, it's just like this spiritual feeling that I'm like, I feel like this is God. I feel like this is God. I don't know what it is, but at the time I had a friend that she kind of like was my vessel. She was my spiritual sister. And then my aunt, she's a Christian. She will always send like, in our family group chat, she will always send like sermons, like, oh, this sermon is great. Listen to this, listen to whatever. I would never listen to those. I'm like, I'm not going to watch this hour YouTube video. I'm not going to watch. Like, no, but meanwhile, I'm watching freaking Netflix. I'm watching Hulu. I'm watching whatever. But I didn't want to make time to listen to these sermons she was sending. But my aunt will like always send them. And, I know there was one time when I was going through something and then literally like I was going out for a walk and it happened to be my aunt sent me a text that same time, was like, and then she was like, Delilah, like, I think this will be great for you. I want you to listen to this because blah, blah, blah. Remind you, even though I've never listened to any sermons before, she's not someone that's like pressured, God to anyone. She's always been like, and that's what I love about my aunt. Like, she's, I'm always going to pray over you guys. You guys have your own lives, but, I'm still going to continue to like, share the word as needed. So it never felt pressure, never felt judged, never whatever. But my aunt is also one of those like, I'm Christian, but I'm hood. Like, she's always like, so she's like one of those people. So I was going through something. I was listening to music when she sent the text, and I was like, let me just listen to the sermon because I was already on a walk. And I remember like listening to that sermon, like I started like breaking down crying. I'm on my walk. I started crying because I'm like, damn, this is good. And then the next day, because this was also when I started like my fitness journey. The next day, I was doing like my cardio in the morning, and I was like, let me listen to another sermon from this pastor. Same thing. It was like, I felt like they were speaking right to me. And then I started like replacing my gym music in the mornings and, you know, like on my podcast, we'll listen to sermons now. And then that's how I started exploring it little by little. And then my friend at the time, like I would ask like questions about God. Like I would ask questions, you know, she's been a Christian for years. She was on her own separate spiritual journey as well. And, you know, we were just like talking about God a lot. So she kind of helped me like just kind of find my journey with God. But yeah, I was also someone that, you know, I'm still pretty new to this and I'm real open about that. You know, I'm still trying to navigate, like, even who I am as a person, because, again, like, I still come across, I would get people that would DM me, like, for instance, if I post something about me being a Taurus or whatever, someone DM me, see if I can find, I think I deleted her, but someone DM me, she's like, oh, how you post about being a Taurus when you talk about God? Like, that's not a godly thing or whatever. And she's like, you know, the Bible says, blah, blah, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, yeah, I didn't respond. I don't respond back to stuff like that, or even the same thing. Like when I post things about, because you know, me being a part of like the LGBT, you know, it was like, oh, you know, that's not in the Bible. Like, how are you saying that, like, you know, you're a child of God or whatever, but you like women, or, you know, you go back and forth, whatever. Like, so that things like that, I'm always like, you're the reason why I don't.
I've been called an abomination. Like people comment. I was
gonna ask because you have a big platform and you talk about God a lot.
Call
so
me,
like,
that's why when you're
that?
Yeah, no, I do. I get it a lot. Like, oh, they'll ask me like, oh, you know, aren't you ashamed to be a Christian? Aren't you ashamed to be this? And I'm like, first of all, and this is when I hit them with the Bible.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, like, in the Bible, it specifically says, like, we as human beings, we all fall short to the glory of God.
Yeah.
We all sin. That's why, you know, he sent his only son to die on a cross for us, because he knew we would sin long before we were put on the earth. So it's like, my main question to them that shuts them up is, you sin. And if you think you don't sin, you're deceiving yourself. So my question to you is, how is your sin less than mine?
Yeah.
You sin. Sin is sin.
Yeah.
And you're just going to claim you're this perfect person who doesn't sin? Like, to me, it's like, this is who I am. And if God needs to fix something with inside of me, then he will. But this is who I am. And when I walk into church every day, my church does not judge me. My church does not make me feel uncomfortable. I am who I am. That doesn't take away from me believing in God. It doesn't take away from me being a child of God.
Yeah.
So when people say that, it's like, you're sinning right now because you're judging me. Who are you to judge me?
And again, like that's something that like I've always struggled with, because this goes to my relationship with my father too. Like, he would send me to hell because of, you know, certain stuff and say, you know, like, disowning me as a daughter when I told him that, like, you know, that I like girls, like all this stuff. So it's just like, when you have like your own father telling you that, and when you have like, and again, like, you just see people do things like judging people, when you see people just casting the stones on others because they're so perfect. But so, and it makes you question, you're like, am I doing things right? Am I not enough? But I always have to tell myself, because one girl even said, you can't choose like when you want to be a child of God or not. You can't pick and choose. Because again, like, I mean, realistically speaking, with what I do with Jefatona, we have all like party series. We're twerking, we're shaking ass, we're doing all of that, and I'm just like, oh, like it's a liberated space for women to have fun and stuff. And that I've had people DM me like, oh, like you're portraying something, like pretending you're you know, a child of God, but like this is the devil's work, what you're doing, like, you know, creating spaces. So I'm like, you know, but it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often. It's always like from random people who don't really know me, but like people like they know how I am, they know how I operate. But I've always been very open about the fact, like, yo, like I'm so new to all of this, like I'm still learning. So even the stuff that I'm doing right now, would I be doing a year from now? I don't know, because again, I'm on my own walk with God, whatever that looks like. But I feel like with me, at the end of the day, like he knows my heart. He knows like I'm a genuine person. And again, like, I don't judge anyone. I'm just like, yo, as long as you're not hurting kids, hurting anybody or whatever, like, as long as you generally are a good person, like I'll do what you want to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. You shouldn't allow people's words to kind of throw you off. I feel like that's the enemy as well, trying to like just throw little seeds into your ear. That's all it is. Just ignore it.
But I've had so many, but at the same time, like I've had so many people, it's so crazy. Like I've had other people, like my aunt was my vessel from God, and my old friend, have so many people that has DM'd me or messaged me, and they say like, oh, like I've now begun exploring my relationship with God because of you, or now you're making me want to do that, or you're making me want to see things different way, you make me whatever. So I'm like, yo, like this is crazy. Now I'm becoming a vessel for other people. So again, I don't get a lot of messages like that. I do get it like once in a while, and I feel like it'll trigger, but like you said, that's the enemy right there. That's the enemy that just kind of want to make me
people
like
gonna talk
question
regardless.
God.
You do good, they're gonna talk. You do bad, they're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Do what you do. People gonna talk regardless.
Yeah.
That's how I look at things. I'm gonna do whatever it is I want to do because somebody always gonna have something to say.
Yeah.
It's just the way life is. But I'm here to please myself, nobody else. So.
And God.
Exactly. Amen.
Amen. I guess I'm curious. When was the last time you felt genuine joy?
Genuine joy?
Yeah.
I would say now. Yeah, now.
Like in this moment right now, or like on the Jefatona podcast?
Yeah, like right now. Like I'm doing what I love to do. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm like showing myself that I can do things that I never thought I would do. So to me, that brings me happiness. It brings me joy. It shows me that I'm actually progressing.
Yeah.
And when I progress, I'm happy. When I step outside my comfort zone, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like it's different things that kind of bring joy to me. Like there's times where I'm gonna wake up and I'm not gonna feel my best. I feel like it's waves of emotions. Life isn't always happy-go-lucky. It's how you navigate through it. But like, yeah, right now, like I feel good. I feel happy. Like, and I haven't felt like that in a long time. But like doing the content, providing some type of like platform for people who feel broken, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I like the last time I felt this happy, I can't even say, to be honest with you. Like it took a while for me to actually say like look, I told you I look myself in the mirror in the morning.
Bad bitch.
I give myself high fives. But like it's been a long time since I was actually able to like look in the mirror and be like, yo, you're like, when someone asks you, are you happy? And me be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like some people say that and they're lying through their teeth. But like, no, like obviously there's things I'm still working on. There's things I'm still navigating through. But like, no, I think this is like the best I've felt overall.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you. I mean, that speaks volumes of your self-love journey. That speaks volumes of you opening yourself up to God. That speaks volumes on you just like walking in your purpose and just surrendering, releasing your worries, and just taking it day by day. So congratulations on your 1 year anniversary of your platform. Congratulations on your walk with God, since last year. And congratulations ahead of time with all the amazing things that are coming your way.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Jefatona podcast. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, subscribe, and maybe leave a review or two. Until next time, love you. Bye.